City of Merrill Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. First on the agenda is approval of previous minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second that.
Anybody got any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next is approval of the July 2024 claims.
Motion to approve the claims?
I'll second.
All right, does anybody got any questions?
I guess just one quick one. For the damaged lights on the Riverbend Trail, was that like covered by anything, or is that just a cost?
We're through the insurance process.
Okay.
As we speak.
Okay.
We have $1,000 deductible, so we'll be able to recoup
Okay.
the difference after 1,000.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep, we did file an insurance claim, and so we will have to pay, unfortunately, all of those things. It cost us 1,000. We did not catch anybody because it wasn't near any cameras, but
Yeah.
it's on record, TV, and,
All right.
again.
Anyone else? Motion to approve?
Aye.
I guess.
No.
You approve it. What was approved?
Signify by saying aye. Signify by saying aye, yeah.
Speak by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Claims passed. Oh, passing on to Dan. We're on general agenda items.
Thank you very much, Chad. Sorry I'm late, everyone. General agenda item number 1, discussion and potential action regarding 4th of July vendors. So how did things go on 4th of July, Dan, and how would you like them to be?
Yeah, not bad. It's just that this is only more so in regards to, it's been a while since we had anybody other than Fast Pitch doing concessions of any sort at the mark for our 4th of July festivities. We're not a real destination. We've tried several events and other things during the 4th, but a lot of people come back to the mark in time to watch the fireworks and then they go. So this year we had, I was only contacted by one person that had some interest in possibly serving food, like a food truck kind of a thing there, and I had asked them several questions that we would normally ask somebody: are you licensed? Do you are licensed business? Are you licensed with the health department, etc.? Can you be self-contained? And after we had just a brief discussion on that, they opted to not to. And obviously, we need to make sure that we protect our own liabilities when we do that. So that was the only person. Then come to find out on the 4th, there was a few that pulled in and wanted to just simply show up and serve food. And we always work with Fast Pitch, not to say that they can, could, would, and should be the only ones there, but one of the trucks that was there was serving almost the exact same thing that they had already gone out of their way to have ready for people. So I guess just looking for a little guidance on 2 fronts. Is this something that we want to open up for food trucks to be able to park there and sell for the 4th of July? And if we do, then we probably should have some sort of guidelines, a permit of some sort, or a process and permit that they need to, by a certain time, reach out to us and cover this, that. And we can say yes or no. And everything in between. That's a commission. And if we don't want to, we don't have to. We can just simply tell PD that no portable food trucks. And we tell people that we're not concessionaires.
I'll start it off, I guess. Where do you draw the line? Number 1, if you have food trucks come where you draw the line. Number two, you could have 50 food trucks, and now where the fireworks are going on, it's going to hamper parking. Number three, the police department said there was only a allotted number of cars allowed in the parking lot, so there is a limit. So if you're taking a food truck, which they come in, they're going to take 4 or 5 spots with their truck and trailer. So I guess where are we going to draw the line? The second portion of that is Fast Pitch is a 501c3 nonprofit. We can't compete. So I don't know. My feeling is if you open that can of worms, I think I only could speak for myself. I would tell Fast Pitch not to serve any food. But if you're going to open it up to food trucks, you got to draw the line somewhere because otherwise there's not enough parking out there.
Have we ever had an issue where Fast Pitch didn't have food or there wasn't something available?
I think one year I think we didn't open. But I think we had an issue where we didn't have enough people, and then it was, I think it was right after COVID. And then we didn't know if we should, because that was still the.
So could we do something like what we did with another sporting organization where we made sure that Fast Pitch was responsible for serving food, and if they couldn't, they would have to let us know? Because I would rather see Fast Pitch get that money than a food truck.
And, I mean, I guess to say on, being president, we don't, if you guys want to do the trucks, we have no issue.
Mm-hmm.
But we would just like to know, because if we figured we lost $400, and we even went out and got a picnic license to sell beer on top of that this year. And we were still short with there was, I think, there was a popcorn and a food truck, I think there was 3 of them.
Shaved ice.
We're fine with it, we just probably wouldn't open up. But the only thing is, I know is it's gonna probably cost you a part-time, or not a part-time guy, but a guy to be there to show these people that are set, because it was kind of a mess. Nobody knew where it was going on, and at least with the food trucks, they just kind of set up wherever they wanted. So, you're gonna have to probably have somebody out there, which now it's gonna cost you money to have a person out there for a couple hours until they get all set up.
Or, that's the other part, if you go
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Right.
Part of that was just people randomly showing up without telling anybody anything, so, if it's done, let's say it is yes, and we do 5, you set up parking where you want the 5 and say, hey, this is what, you can serve, but you can't, we can try that, it's just, yes, then it takes somebody to go through and make sure that they have the appropriate paperwork that they signed up ahead of time, and anybody else after that is a no-go. But then the criteria would be, well, how come
Right.
they get to do it and we don't get to do it from a food truck standpoint? So the simplest answer is to keep it how it was. There is not a huge demand. Like I said, there's quite a few people that go from their cookouts on the lake or up north or whatever, and they come back, get their file in, have a beer or 2, watch fireworks, and they're gone. And there's enough people that get out there to consume some of the food and beverages from Fast Pitch, but that's the simplest way to do that is to say, no, we're not taking food trucks, if we can do that. And that way then before the event, we just tell PD and the security guards that we have out there to help with parking, say, if a food truck comes here and they try to tell you something, it's a no-go. Turn around and leave, park that thing somewhere else, bring their own vehicle back and watch it.
Yeah, I would think if we did this, there should be some type of a fee too. That's just my opinion, but I see this differently than the food truck palooza. I think this is more of a fundraiser for our youth sporting events.
Yeah, and kudos to them, because they're trying to snipe easy business. Obviously, it's fish in a barrel. You have several thousand people there in a captive audience that may or may not get hungry, and they know that if I can pull somewhere into this general eyesight or eye line, we can make some money. And the difference is if you have 501c3s or not-for-profits, they obviously are looking to earn money for different reasons than businesses. So.
And I'm fine if it's hockey or something else. I just think if they're willing to do it, I would rather go that route.
What is the understanding for like gazebo nights? You know, do you ever have anyone,
So gazebo nights, they rent that normal park from us, and then what they do with
And
it.
they do it, okay.
At that point is their business. As long
Okay.
as their business
Mhm.
is legal and on the up and up.
But it's limited to the concession stand.
Yep, and they work with, so gazebo nights in particular, they work with nonprofits, I know that, in the concession, because I got part of that on several evenings with basketball, boys basketball. And then I know they do scouts on certain nights, and they have a number of different ones that work with us in order to make that happen. But they would occupy the concession area itself.
Do you know, for food carts in general, are there any city regulations or codes for where they can park? Do they need to be licensed to operate?
Yes, they do. And I don't have those memorized, but there are regulations as to, their licensing. Obviously, they have to be licensed, and they have to be inspected, and they have to have health department permits. The city, you have to apply to the city, and there's a bit of a process that goes into that so that they can, let's say you want to put something somewhere, you're going to be partially blocking a street, and there's going to be a line on one side or the other, so there's areas where they would tell you, yes, sure, you can do that, no, you can't. Like when Dingus does it, Ed Sheeran does his down here, that was, he kind of started that whole process, being one of the first actual food trucks here, because he used to do it right down here by East Hardware, and then on the other side where he would just pull off to the side and have a line of people waiting to get curved with pork or whatever he had. So they finally put them down here on the east side of the Center Ave Bridge so that people could come the back way, and it's out of the way, it's safe, and you can set up. There is a fee, I believe, every time that he wants to do it. I again don't remember exactly what it was. There's a fee if you want to set up and serve the public.
Okay. That was kind of the same question I had, because I thought I remember there was a younger kid who was looking to do like a food cart along the trail. And yeah, I think I remember Dave, the city administrator at the time, saying there was some sort of fee and permit process with that.
There's a merchant fee, and in that instance, was it like a transient merchant because he was not setting up in
One spot.
Not setting up a physical stand.
Yeah.
I think it's a transient merchant fee.
So do you know, and maybe you don't know because they just showed up,
Right.
were the food trucks at the 4th of July celebration, were they all registered with the city? Or that might,
One of them for sure, I know would have been. The other two, I'm not sure. And again,
So,
without
right.
having any interaction, there was only one that I spoke to and that reached out to our office and had an extensive conversation with this lady. And at the end of that conversation, she wanted to come in and us to provide a big plug for her, and she needed this and needed that. And I said, we're not
Doing
that way. This isn't that type of a facility. And again, for us, it hasn't been, we haven't invested in that because that's carnivals and things like that. There we have the fairgrounds now. Ours formerly known as the festival park. That is more designed to handle that. My gut reaction to this then and still now, just my opinion, is no. I think it's easier to handle it that way. It makes it, instead of criteria and this and that, we've done just fine without having any for the longest time. If somebody wants to organize a food truck up Palooza Park View out at the mark, they certainly can. We'll figure out how to do that, but I honestly think that the easiest way is to just either, if it's yes, then we gotta get to work on some criteria and numbers and types of food and other things like that. Again, the easiest way is no. That way, if anybody comes pulling a food truck in, they can't say, no, I talked to so-and-so, Chad, I can do it. Nobody said that you could do anything. So we're just done.
And that's what I kind of talked with you about. I didn't want, when the people came up and asked me, I didn't want them come back to Dan when Chad said no or Chad said yes. I'm like,
Yes.
I didn't want no part of this, because we didn't know anybody was coming.
Yeah.
We just knew Bill usually comes and he works with us, he runs his cheese curds and that's all he sells, and then we do the rest.
So how would we allow him?
That's the other question, I mean, are you gonna just,
If we go, then it's either
Yeah.
yay or nay. That's.
and I kinda talked to Bill about it, because we talked about it, because he said too, he goes, this ain't big enough for to have 4 people selling, 5 people selling things here. And I kinda told, I said, well, it's probably gonna be an all thing, or it'd probably be none.
Or would that be like subcontracting? Maybe.
Well, you could subcontract him to make cheese curds for you, and you could sell it. Fast Pitch could do that. I mean, anybody can certainly do that. So you could sell Ed and Sharon's cheese curds out of the Fast Pitch stand. There's nothing that says you can't do that. It's just, again, it would be, to legislate this properly, it's either yes or no. If it's yes, then we have to have criteria as to who, what, where, when, why. And if it's no, it's simple. No.
And I don't think that you've identified that there's a need for it. So there's not necessarily a need for the people who are there to watch the show, right? So I would have to agree with you that I wouldn't think it would be in our best interest to go that direction, to go the food truck.
Fast Pitch will still have, I mean, I would assume that you guys will still, they have the physical stand there, the concessions that they do for all the league games and the high school games and the tournament and all that stuff, so it's not, their supply is already there. They've been operating that since end of March, early April, so for them to throw burgers, brats, whatever, the popcorn, that's just there, it's built in, that's, we always call it, that's theirs. So that, it's not difficult if a food truck or somebody does have an issue with that. This is on their home turf, right where they normally operate. They will be operating the next day, the next day, the next day, the weekend after.
I'll make a motion that we will not allow food trucks at the 4th of July celebration or fireworks or whatever.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second to not allow food trucks at the 4th of July celebration at the Mark.
I will abstain.
I'd add one more question. if
Yeah,
this
is there any
time for
discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I guess, would this apply to just the 4th of July? Okay, that was kind of, what I was wondering.
And they have popcorn?
Who's that?
And they have popcorn?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, we actually one of our big sellers.
Good
Well, it's
popcorn.
9 o'clock at night. That's not late for,
Looking for Filet Mignon?
And it's kind of right on the same lines with Kyle. Are there any other events or locations that we have where this may be a similar issue in the future? What I'm saying is if it's, and we can wait and see too, but seems like the food trucks and food carts are kind of making a pretty good resurgence.
Most of the other things that we do are organizations using our facilities for their events, so Fast Pitch tournament. If they want food trucks at their tournament, they can. Because they are renting the fields from us to run the Merrill Fast Pitch Association tournament, baseball tournament that we do. If we want that, baseball can do that. Just because we as a city, they're renting our facilities in order to do this event. If we were to do something outside of the Fast Pitch tournament, a festival of some sort outside, then we would have that, this would come up.
What about Labor Day? How's that work? You know, the car show and,
Yeah, Labor Day, so we have a general concessions agreement that they have to sell, and it's $100 for them, and they have to make sure in advance that they reach out to us.
Okay.
Kind of what we were talking about
Sure.
here. And some years we get a few, other years we get, we always have probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 down there, but the rest of that stuff, everyone's pretty good about understanding that the permanent stands down there. Kind of go with the rules, which
Okay.
is perfectly fine.
I would just hate for us to have an event and have like no food when Fast Pitch could have had the opportunity or someone else could have to raise that money. So as long as they let us know ahead of time.
And it, like I said, it has been well over a decade since we had any questions, inquiries, issues at all, and then this year, we had them up to and they show up.
I guess Food Truckapalooza was so successful.
Yeah, they do a food truck, and they all have good stuff, and I'm a big fan of a good food truck, but again, it doesn't, it makes us look like we have no idea what's going on, and it's not a good look for the food trucks themselves too, because they show up. Again, we can only control what we know.
I guess I'm just slightly hesitant to say no to everybody because I feel like if they are offering something different, it wouldn't be bad to have that there. And like the cheese curd situation, is that going to work? That you guys could serve their food through the stand, or is that going to be? Is it going to eliminate?
We wouldn't be able to keep it, that'd be almost impossible to keep it separate.
Right.
In a way. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that, we just need to know, because if we
Yeah.
would choose, like I said, we would have known this year, we would have probably just, because what we do is the whole day we move in our stuff for the tournament
Yeah.
and just kind of go through and then we just keep it open.
Mhm.
We would have I would have either stayed up north, did it another day, or, I mean, it was a little chaos. I mean, especially when they tell you one thing, when we talk to Dan and Don, and we never talk to anybody. So it's like, we just wanted to know, because I know I talked to Dan quite a while ago, and then I think even the mayor asked, are you guys gonna be able to do it this day? And they were gonna do it on the 5th. And we said, yeah, we'll be able to do it. And it just, all of a sudden you got people show up, but then you're
Yeah. No, that's
$400 or $500. It's like, well.
yeah. It's not okay for them to just show up. That's definitely not okay. I guess I just hate to ruin a partnership with the business that way, or just make it impossible for it to work. But yeah, I mean, that's just my thoughts, I guess.
And this is not a binding lifetime ban
Right.
on food trucks. It's something that if we do figure out that there is a more interest than there typically has been, we could bring this back and say, all right, we're gonna do this, then we come up with.
Okay.
We'll take 5, but these 5 have to be, and we can do that here too. If one, we're looking for this, we're looking for that, we're looking for this, because it is our event.
Right.
I mean, I would like to see cheese curds. I think that would be a good thing. Like you said, it's 9:00 at night.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other, a motion to not allow food carts at the 4th of July celebration? Is there any other discussion on that motion?
I'd be willing to amend my motion to list specific food items that we're looking for, like whatever would not compete as much with Fast Pitch.
What if there's 3 that do it?
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
you choose then. If it's
I
first
don't-
come, first serve, I don't know what our process usually is.
I think that'd be difficult. I mean, I think it's either a yes or a no. I think you either allow it
And then develop the process, or,
Yeah.
or you don't.
Yeah.
So was that, you said you'd be willing to, was that you would like to amend your motion or not? Because if you'd like to amend it, then we'd have to second it. If you
No,
don't want to amend
I'll
it, then
leave
we
it
have
for
the
now.
motion and the second on the floor. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No, I guess.
It carries with with
abstain.
Krieger abstaining. So there were 4 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carries. Okay. Next agenda item under general agenda, update on the Lions Park teacher parking lot discussions.
Okay, I emailed that one out to you guys. This was a agreement that predates all of us, that we had for the quote-unquote parking lot when this started back when MAPS was still operating. The middle school has the high school, all the students and teachers used to park in that area, and back in the 80s, this agreement was reached. The original parking lot was first non-existent, and then it was this size of one house lot, and then after a while, MAPS and the city of Merrill wisely and with a fair amount of foresight got together and figured out that, hey, let's work together on this. If we can charge you some money to allow for parking here, we can put this aside, and as that money accrues, we can purchase any real estate as it may or may not become, as it may become available, and add that to the parking lot and or the park in general at Lions Park. So what was that, probably about a dozen or so years ago, somewhere in there.
I think the original term was at 88 to 2008, yeah, is when it, the original 20-year contract or lease expired, but by that time it had been, kind of been forgotten. And so there were a few years, so probably about a dozen, 2011, 2012 was when it resurfaced. Why does this check keep coming from the school district every year?
So we had kind of just let it lapse, and part of that was none of us, there was really, nobody was around when this thing was dreamt up and when it was signed and executed. So when we discovered that, we also had, I think you call it overcharged maps, even though they were still using it for the same purpose. It just a piece of paper that had a date on it had lapsed without renegotiating. So we then allowed it to kind of coast on the overcharge, if you will, where we left it alone. Fast forward to this year, I know we had several conversations with MAPS in regards to rekindling this. Part of this kind of came back to fruition once we started to see a property or two that was up for sale there. It would be nice if we had that slush fund again that we could utilize to reach out to those people and purchase that and tear it down. So had several discussions with MAPS about this over the last few months, and they were very receptive to entering into this agreement, and the amount, we were able to bump it up a little bit from where it was. Again, we're not looking, this is not intended to make anybody rich. It's a fair value for what they use and what we get out of it. So what you see is kind of what we had taken from the old agreement, updated some of the terms and the definitions, and added a couple of pieces of language in there that helps both of us, I guess, so to speak, for reviewing purposes, for longevity purposes, and everything. So, anybody have any questions on it?
Yeah, just a quick one. I guess at the start it says year-to-year renewal basis. Continues year-to-year unless one notifies the other. But then, where is it? Down in number 13, option to extend. This lease may be extended upon mutual agreements, blah, blah, blah. MAPS may extend this lease for additional 20 years upon the same terms.
Yep.
So I guess I was confused by
Good
that.
question. Dan actually called me about a quarter after 3:30 and had the same question. So
Okay.
when city attorney and I had this discussion and maps, we put that in there and in both of those locations so that it allows us flexibility year to year, and it also allows this to continue in perpetuity. Does that make sense?
Okay.
We review it, you know, it's called Shannon, you okay with this? Is everything fine on this agreement? Do we need to tweak something? Is something not right? And then, yeah, we're good, it continues.
Okay.
If we did it just year to year, then every year we'd have to have the same conversation.
Right.
Et cetera. If we did 20 years and kept it like the last one, if, let's say, inflation may or may not continue to go up or go down, or whatever the case may be, they're still paying $6,000 a year in the year 2044,
Mm-hmm.
and that may or may not be worth 85 cents by the time we get to that.
Right.
It could be the other way around, but at least it doesn't handcuff us or hamstring either one of us. It allows for this thing to continue to exist,
Mhm.
and to continue to exist with nothing more than a, Shannon, you okay still?
Okay.
Yep.
So it gives us the option year to year to adjust the cost or the rate that we're charging, I guess. Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. And I asked Tom the same thing, we were trying to cover ourselves, but he was fairly adamant about doing both of those phrases or statements in there, just so that we do have that flexibility.
Okay.
Year to year and for a length of time.
Yeah, makes sense.
Good question.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the proposed contract? I would just say one thing I like about it, and in talking to Dan, hopefully with that kind of yearly reminder to touch base with both parties, it won't get lost. And then at some point, 20 years is a long time. Probably no one will be, who's here or involved now at MAPS or in the city, will be in their current roles. Hopefully there'll be some carryover just with time that yearly it gets reviewed. It doesn't just get lost. So I think that's a big plus to it. So.
And this too will go into a non-lapsing account that we can utilize for real estate purchases, or if there is, we don't have to always go straight back on taxpayers and capital improvement if there are parking lot improvements or things. It is used a lot, that parking lot is used heavily. So if there's improvements or other things, repairs that we need to make, we will at least have some funding that is being generated from it and the use of it
Okay.
to do that.
Yeah, that was kind of another question I had, was when's the last time it was paved, and then, yeah, is that money
30
gonna-
years ago?
Okay.
It's been a long time.
So yeah, all of the responsibility to redo stuff is on the city still, though.
Yeah.
Do we have money in that account now? If we haven't repaved it in 30 years?
We do not. We do not. I believe that after, even before it was, they I don't know if there was a non-lapsing account. This predates me
Okay.
even as well, but I know that they did spend, two or three? Three of the houses as they became available were purchased, and they spent the balance of that each time that they did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was utilized in the right way. That's how the lot was able to expand, and then the other one was the one closest to the upper driveway,
Mm-hmm.
just by the lion stairs.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So there was three separate purchases that were used to spend a majority of the balance down.
Okay.
So we'll start anew.
If this were to be approved, would that first payment come in sometime this calendar year?
Yes.
Is that in there?
Yeah,
Might
so,
have been-
yeah, the MAPS's fiscal year runs through June 30th and then starts fresh July 1st. So this time we would bill them, and, we're not in a hurry. It's not like we're waiting impatiently for $6,000, but that would be, they would probably pay this version right now on their new budget.
And then July of 2025, the
Yep,
next
then we would
payment
bill
will
them
come
in June for the July payment.
Mhm. Are there any other questions for Dan? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed contract with MAPS as written.
I'll be abstaining again.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries with Osnes abstaining. Okay. General agenda item number 3, things to be excited about. It's summertime. Great time to be in the parks.
Yeah, no, it's exciting, just all the activities that have been going on, the events. That weekend of the Fast Pitch Tournament was arguably has to have been one of the busiest weekends that Merrill has seen in quite a long time. I mean, it helped. Things to be excited about was the weather that weekend. We finally, as fate would have it, and we were due for one. We had 84, 85 degrees, sunshine. It was packed to the hilt at the Mark. We had the Legion Regionals down at Athletic Park for Senior League or Senior Legion baseball. The river had receded enough for them to do the Black Squirrel Scurry. They had a record attendance and registrations for their event, amongst other things. That same weekend we had, I believe, every single park shelter that we had that is reservable was reserved Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
Wow.
It was
That's huge.
fantastic. So, yeah, it's been a good summer, busy as always, but it's great to see the different organizations and groups doing well and running great things. Our programs have been going well. When the weather cooperates, we've had huge turnouts at the Aquatic Center, but we need more of those. Obviously, the weather's been real touch and go, but that same weekend that they had the Fast Pitch Tournament, Legion Regionals, Black Squirrel Scurry, et cetera, I believe we had around 1,100 people visit the pool just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's a good thing. So I don't know if people realize we talk about this all the time here, but for those that are watching this, the amount of people that our parks and our partnerships with our fantastic associations and organizations bring to Merrill and to our businesses and community is, I don't know if people understand the amount of an impact that all has on our community. So it's fantastic. Hard to believe that we're talking about Labor Day registrations already. Labor Day parade's coming up. That's ours as well. And then we're already getting set with our flag football teams and schedules, and it's that time of year. Packers start their Super Bowl quest here coming up this weekend. Get your tickets.
Do you have any ideas or any way to know with the pool, thinking about that one weekend where we'd say 1,100 people, how many of them are from outside, do not reside in the city limits? There's really no way to track.
No, so we collected 237 of those half-off coupons that Fast Pitch gives to the players. So most likely of those, if you would figure even 3/4 of those were from out-of-town teams. A lot of our kids went to swim too. But it's hard to quantify that. A lot of times we see, from our standpoint, especially Fridays and Saturdays, we do see a lot of Illinois license plates. We do get a lot of people that come down from Minocqua, from their cottages, or if you want to call them that, their second homes. But we have and that continues. That was since year one. They like it because it's 45 minutes down the road. We have concessions, we have the fun stuff. We watch their kids. And they're not swimming in the coffee brown water of Lake Minocqua. So that starts on week 1 and continues until the very bitter end. So yeah, on a weekend like that, it's probably 60 to 70% of those people are out of town, I would estimate.
So that's good, because they may stop for dinner at the Mexican restaurant too,
Mhm.
or gas or something.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
That's very good. And I think, like Dan said, that's not fully realized. I mean, it is in this group, we talk about it, but good to know.
Yeah. And for those, that weekend too, I don't know if everyone's had a chance to go out there and visit it, but I honestly think that the economic impact of that fast pitch tournament probably has to rivals the fair. I think, as far as the amount of people that come there, and they're there, unlike going there, we have a great fair too, but there are quite a few people that bop down to the fair, grab some cheese curds, take a lap, hit the road. When you're coming to the fast pitch tournament, until you get to, when were your elimination games? 1 and 2? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock. So starting at, they are there Friday afternoon, all afternoon, into the evening. Saturday, they have to be there early for the 8 o'clock games, and even up until 2 o'clock on Saturday, those people can't go anywhere because their teams aren't eliminated. Once teams start getting eliminated, then the crowd obviously proportionally starts to leave. But those are good things. So,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Very much. We will jump just a little bit out of order before we go into closed session. Monthly reports?
Any questions?
Okay. Anything you wanted to highlight? You don't have to.
I got one question quick,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is something, so you talk about taking the ice out, like you take the ice out for like a month, right? Month and a half? Put it back in,
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
I was always gonna, does it pay to leave ice in? It wouldn't pay?
No, we've looked at that in the past. There isn't enough demand here to do it. And if we were going to do that, we would have to make some upgrades to our arena to handle humidity and other things. But a lot of those hockey kids are going to be getting ready to play football, flag football, and other sports. So, but yeah.
People that were in there, because when we returned the tables, the lady just said, this is so nice, and
Yep.
blah,
No,
blah,
they.
blah, kind of told me about it, and she goes, and it's not expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, I didn't get her name.
Yeah,
but-
Michelle. Yeah, and they sold almost all their ice for all 2 weeks this year, which is a first for them too. So when I left, Tomahawk was pulling in. Wausau, some of the Wausau teams and high school teams have it. There was 3 or 4 figure skating clubs from other cities that came in to do it. They had the adult tournament last weekend. They have a youth tournament coming up this weekend before we take it out. They have a Northwoods camp, so they had 3 guys that run this camp. One guy's from Fond du Lac, one guy plays at Eastern Michigan, the other one's from New Zealand. But they have 35 kids there for the entire day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and tomorrow. So it's been good for them. Like I said, this group is pretty organized in what they want to do. So that's good.
I have just a forestry question, and it may end up coming from the festival committee, but I heard there's some discussion of creating some sort of barrier, berm, and/or trees along the south portion of the fairgrounds where the camping utilities were installed. Is there a reason that wasn't done right away? And is there plans to do it? Because who would want to camp in the middle of a field with no shade, no... And I'm not saying that's in our purview. I just wonder if there's any
I have had
plans you're aware of?
I have had no discussions with anybody regarding that.
No requests
I've had no.
have come to you as the forestry department?
Nope.
Okay. Probably they still call it the festival?
Fairgrounds.
Now it's Fairgrounds
Yep.
Committee?
Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not volunteering us to tackle it, but sometimes it's like you do half of it, those trees would have been, at least well on their way by now. It's
I hope.
like, where's the planning, where's the vision, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Good question. Yep. That's the first I heard of it. Hopefully they involve us.
Okay. Any other questions for Dan? All right. Date and time for the next meeting?
So Labor Day is the 2nd. So we would be the 4th if we want to meet. The 4th is the first Wednesday.
I will not be able to make that, but that's all right. You can go ahead and meet.
Is the 4th good with everybody?
Be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
September?
Yep.
September 4th. First Wednesday of the month is usually when we meet. All right, September 4th, 4:15 PM, City Hall Council Chambers. Is there any public comment?
I just got one. I just want to thank Dan and his crew. The mark looked very, very well this week, or 2 weekends ago, and we had a lot of compliments again, like we always do. And I mean, even I had 2 teams come up that were from Janesville that said that they just couldn't believe how friendly everybody was in town. Even the restaurants they went to, they didn't tell me what restaurants, but they were just, anywhere they went, everybody was friendly in town, and they were impressed. I don't know how many times they said just the way our fields look and the way the mark is. And so kudos to Dan on that, and the rest of the art department in the city of Merrill.
It's the guys, not me. They're the best. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, then, related to closed session, the commission may convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes, Chapter 19.851E, to deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public properties, investing of public funds, or conduct other specified public business. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session for negotiation of and to discuss terms of renewal for the Merrill Youth Hockey Association concessions contract. We require a roll call vote to go into closed session. All those in favor of going into closed session? Osnes.
Aye.
Krieger.
Aye.
Ruthkowski.
Aye.
Joan. Huber.
Aye.
Malm.
Aye.
Gilkey.
Aye.
Novich. Aye. We are in closed session.